Assalamu alaikum. Today I want to complete what was a very important speech that was to be delivered at the People's National Party conference yesterday, which was attended by myself and Maroons from Akompong and other territories across the island. There are a lot of questions that remain. Why did the chief attend such a political event? Well, there's so much that we have to say, and I will put it all out here for you to all take offline and then have the discussions. Because we use intelligence in doing what we're doing and not just noisemakers. And today, I would like to depart with dropping this statement and this message for all to see. I began the speech with a quotation, or quote I should say, from a world-renowned activist, author, and philosophist, Angela Davis, who said, "I'm no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I can no longer accept." This resonated so much because since coming in office 3 years ago, I've committed myself to changing the things I can no longer accept. Things that have been affecting our indigenous communities, and these have been long-standing issues. So, using this quote, in that we cannot accept the things that we have around us, the Maroons would like to highlight the significant amount of attention that has been brought to us in recent times. The Maroons will no longer accept disrespect, and therefore we attended the PNP conference to strategically discuss prospects for change and change for unity. We either act for change at the ballots, or we continue to suffer under a heavy hand of oppression from the people who have characteristics of dictatorship. Need I say who? But therefore, we get into it. Since this year is the year of the ballot, I would like to clarify some things that refer to me personally concerning my own political position. I stand before you as chief of the Akompong Maroons, not as a political entity, but as a proud representative of Jamaica's First Nation people. Our presence here at the 86th annual conference really was about a statement and a gesture, both a statement and a gesture. A statement of unity and a gesture towards the future of mutual respect and peace between Akompong Maroons and other Maroons island-wide and the state political system. The spirit of gathering today is filled with hope and aspiration. It echoes the strength and resilience of our ancestors who fought against colonial oppression. It is in their name that I speak, drawing on the inspiration from our forefather Kojo and the unyielding resolve of Queen Nanny of the Maroons, who is a national hero, as you may know. These, our bloodline, have shown us the vital importance of protecting what is ours. Our beloved country is once again at an important crossroads. And in this time of history of its political affairs, it is important that we all have a say in the future of our beloved island. Maroons cannot work with a government entity that doesn't care to engage or consult with the people in a respectful manner. Communication is to diplomacy as blood is to the human body. Whenever communication ceases the body of international politics, the process of diplomacy is dead, and the result is violent conflict. This is why it is absolutely essential to educate our families and neighbors on the importance of our fundamental rights and freedoms to vote for change. Time has now come. Let us choose change at the ballots using intelligence over ignorance, truth and reality over blind loyalty. My first year as chief, I was honored to be invited to Parliament by the President of the Senate, accompanied by the then Speaker of the House. The invitation marked a moment of recognition and a step toward positive dialogue around long-standing issues. However, it's been 3 years since and no dialogue, despite the numerous efforts by our administration to contact members of the sitting government. Maroons cannot tolerate a government that manipulates, openly discriminates, and exploits its indigenous population. We Maroons are similar to the poor and needy in Jamaica and suffer from political oppression, economic exploitation, and social degradation, just like many other communities across the island. Think about the hardworking men and women, farming community who work so hard to carry their food to the market, to sell, to take care of their affairs and send their children to school, suddenly being attacked and invaded upon, with their goods demolished, confiscated, and thrown away. The current government allows for the wholesale destruction of people's goods and their stalls. We have seen the videos. This must stop. It is a disheartening day when the Deputy Prime Minister made a declaration that there is no such thing as maroon lands. Such words were not just merely a statement. It was a challenge and a warning shot that was fired at all maroons from the leeward to the windward, none spared. Those words ignited the fire in the hearts of the young and old. From that day, we vowed to educate not just the current administration, but the entire establishment of Jamaica's political system and the nation on the history of this great country. To make it clear, if there were no Maroon, there would be no Jamaica. We would have been a full British territory, which is what makes our island so unique. So to put a cap on that, the recent pronouncements on becoming a republic and the anti-colonial tough talk wouldn't be so tough as it is if it wasn't for the Maroons. So respect is due. The Maroons cannot cooperate with a government that uses measures of protectionism as a cover for exploitation of our Maroon natural resources. Cockpit country is a sacred territory and home of the Leeward Maroons, and therefore we must be consulted as the rightful owners of these lands before any government activity can take place. The Accompong Maroons are not merely a historical footnote or a political curiosity. We are the descendants of the free Moors and enslaved Africans who united with the Taino communities and carved out sanctuaries in the mountainous areas of Jamaica after over 83 years of fighting. We came out with a treaty of peace and friendship. We have protected these lands, nurtured its forests, including the timber and the waters, which attributes for over 40% of the country's freshwater supply. We've upheld traditions and ensured the peace and safety in our communities continued for over centuries now. Ladies and gentlemen, we the people face challenges to our existence. The recent illegal mining contracts issued to multinational corporations such as Atlantic Alumina or Discovery Bauxite and Century Alumina or Jamalco highlight a troubling disregard for Maroon land and our environmental stewardship. These actions not only jeopardize our land, but serve as a stark reminder that if such violations can happen to us, they can happen to anyone who is unaware of their birthright. Cockpit country will not be destroyed at the hands of liberal, capitalistic-driven cronyism and gangsterism at the expense of the living people who continue to suffer in poverty and suffer from the effects of these illicit activities. Then Jamaica, what is the strategy for indigenous resources? How will our people benefit from these indigenous resources? These are crucial topics that need to be discussed so that peace and harmony that we need to spread across the island can prevail. We must take proactive steps towards truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Let's not forget the love. You have to ask yourself, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? We the people cannot accept a government who lacks the vigor, determination, and resolve in dealing with crime and violence in Jamaican communities. The current administration for the Jamaican government lacks accountability, which is a dangerous ingredient to mix with a formula and aspiration of prosperity and justice for all. With undoubtedly one of the safest territories, within the territory of Jamaica, with no murders, very small crime, there's obviously something that the Maroons and other Maroon territories can offer to this great nation in addressing the woes of crime. We lead by example. We, the indigenous population, are not a relic of the past, but a living testament to the power of unity, resilience, and culture. We as Maroons must acknowledge the respect shown by the opposition leader, Honorable Mark Golding, whose recognition of the 1738 Treaty and the rights of indigenous people reflects a deeper understanding of these principles and stands as stark contrast to the actions of those who would undermine these inalienable rights. It is imperative to recognize that while Jamaica celebrates its own history of resistance and independence, the Maroons have been independent for over 287 years, predating modern Jamaica that was created in 1962. Our ancestors fought to maintain their freedom and negotiated their lands through treaties that are as relevant today as they were in 1738-39. This is international law. The Jamaica government, under the leadership of the current Prime Minister, has failed to uphold the promises and agreements made to the Maroon people under international entities such as the United Nations Committee for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. The discriminatory stance, particularly the statement made by the Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who denounced the legitimacy of indigenous rights and threatened those who claim them, reflect a disturbing political agenda. This creates fear and division, undermining our rights to assert our identity and our heritage. We call for the resolution of these issues through meaningful dialogue. We, the Maroons, urge the Honorable Mark Golding that if entrusted with the reins of power, to prioritize the rectification of historical injustices. We seek accountability and respect for international human rights obligations, particularly those enshrined in the 1738 Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which is recognized by the UN United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. The current government has failed us. The many government officials who have posed off our friends has failed us. And once we see that all of these other sources to which we have turned have failed, we stop turning to them and turn to ourselves. We need a self-help program, a do-it-yourself philosophy, a do-it-right-now philosophy, a it's already too late philosophy. This is what you and I need to get with. And the only way we are going to solve our problem is with a self-help program. Before we can get a self-help program started, we have to have a self-help philosophy. Maroon unity and patriotism for the culture is a self-help philosophy. Once you change your philosophy, you change your thought pattern. Once you change your thought pattern, you change your attitude. Once you change your attitude, it changes your behavior pattern, and then you go into some action. As long as you don't have a sit-down philosophy and have an action-based philosophy, then visions come to fruition. I will repeat the powerful words of former British Commissioner Asif Ahmed during his visit to Akompong in 2019. He stated, "The reason for being here with you today is to honor and remember that firm treaty that our predecessors made with you 281 years ago. There were times we broke our promises. Some of you were sent to Nova Scotia, Liberia, but the memory lingers on. And in this world today, we should remind ourselves of the sanctity of treaties between sovereign nations. We should never forget that when one country gives its bond to another, people are watching, history is watching, and we have to remember every diversion from that. We spoke today about the future, for the history cannot just live in the past. History is alive, we keep it alive, but we need a future where our planet is looked after, our people are looked after, and we deal with each other with respect and peace. And today, we remember that one fact, the human spirit, the spirit of liberty, can never be chained." How powerful a statement was that by the then British High Commissioner to the leadership of the Akompong Maroons in the presence of the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister, and representatives of the Governor General. To those who seek to undermine our rights, I say to you, better luck next time.